Today we are getting into the work of the French philosopher Georges Bataille and his pretty challenging theory of eroticism. It's a theory that connects our most intimate desires to our biggest fears, and it really forces you to look at life and death in a completely different light. Okay, let's dive in.
Right off the bat, this one sentence is the absolute heart of Bataille's whole argument. And it's a huge paradox, right? He's saying that eroticism isn't just about pleasure. It's not just about making babies. It's about saying yes to life so completely, so totally, that it also embraces its own end. It embraces death.
I mean, that just feels wrong, doesn't it? It goes against everything we think we know. How could our most powerful, life-affirming instinct be wrapped up with its total opposite? That is the big question we are going to try and unravel together. So, to really get to the bottom of what Bataille is thinking, we're going to walk through 4 key ideas. First, what he sees as the fundamental problem of being human. Then, the rules we create to deal with it. After that, we'll look at why we love breaking those rules. And finally, how this all comes together in eroticism. Okay, so let's start with that first big idea, the gulf between beings. For Bataille, the whole human story, all of our drama, it all starts with one single core problem, this feeling of being profoundly alone.
He gives this state a name, discontinuity. And just think about it for a second. You and I were totally separate beings. Your thoughts, your feelings, they are yours and yours alone. Mine are mine. We are born as these little isolated individuals, and we die the same way. There's this unbridgeable gap, what he calls a gulf, between us.
And, this separation, this discontinuity, it's a source of real anguish for us. Bataille believes that deep down, we're haunted by a kind of nostalgia, an obsession with a state he calls continuity, that primal feeling of being one with everything, a state we lost the second we became me and you. And this is where it gets really interesting. Bataille maps this whole conflict onto 2 opposing worlds. On one side, you've got the profane world. This is our everyday life, the world of work, reason, order, and isolation. It's the world of discontinuous beings. But on the other side is the sacred world, a realm of continuity, of oneness, but also a world of violence, excess, and total chaos. This is the world of raw nature, of life and death, that we've tried so hard to wall off. Which brings us right to our second point, the walls we build. So, if we're so walled off from that sacred, chaotic world, how did we do it? How did we build this orderly, profane world of ours in the first place?
Well, according to Bataille, the answer comes down to 2 things, work and taboos. Think about it. Work requires order. It requires things to be predictable. You can't build a society if everyone's just giving in to their wildest impulses all the time. So to create this world of work, we had to push down our animal nature. And you can really see the story unfold here. We started out basically as animals, but then the invention of work forced us to make rules. Now, what were the 2 biggest forces that threatened this new, ordered world? Death and sex. Both are forms of uncontrollable, violent, natural excess. So we built walls around them. We created taboos. We started burying the dead, hiding death away. We started regulating sexuality. We built our rational world one prohibition at a time.
But here's the twist. We built these walls, right? But deep down, we have this irresistible urge to peek over them, or maybe even to knock them down for a little while. This brings us to our third and absolutely crucial idea, the role of transgression.
Now, transgression for Bataille isn't just, breaking a rule. It's a very specific thing. It's a conscious act that actually uses the taboo, uses the rule, to get a quick, intense glimpse into that sacred world of continuity. It's not about going back to being an animal. It's about being a human who has the nerve to touch the forbidden.
This is one of Bataille's most famous lines, and it just nails the whole paradox. The rule isn't just there to stop us, it's also there to fascinate us. The very existence of a law is what creates the powerful desire to break it. It makes the forbidden act feel so much more significant. And Bataille saw this transgression happening in lots of forms. You had collective things, like ancient ritual sacrifice, or even organized war. But he argued that the most intense, the most personal form of transgression is eroticism. Because there, you're not violating some external rule, you're violating the very boundaries of your own self. Which brings us to the final piece of this puzzle. This is where everything we've talked about, our isolation, the taboos we build, and our desire to break them, it all comes together in the act of eroticism. So here's the key takeaway. For Bataille, the whole point of eroticism is to shatter our sense of being a separate, isolated individual.
It's a full-on attack on that stable, self-contained person that we have to be every day in our orderly, profane world.
And he breaks this down into 3 types. You've got physical eroticism, which tries to merge 2 separate bodies into one. There's emotional eroticism, the passion of love that wants to completely fuse 2 souls. And then there's religious eroticism, or mystical experience, which is all about fusing with God, or the infinite. But notice, the goal is always the same. Break down the barriers and find that lost continuity.
And here it is, the final, shocking connection. This dissolving of the self that we chase in eroticism, it's a little taste. It's a rehearsal for the ultimate dissolution, death itself. Death is the one thing that truly, permanently destroys our individual self and returns us to that state of oneness with everything. In a way, eroticism is a momentary death of the self.
Now, Bataille brings in this really intense quote from the Marquis de Sade, and it's not because he's endorsing cruelty, not at all. It's to show the absolute logical extreme of his argument. To feel that vertigo of losing yourself, of touching the void, that's as close as a living person can get to the experience of death. It's about saying yes to life so completely that you're willing to face its total annihilation.
And so, Bataille leaves us with this really profound and honestly pretty unsettling thought. We spend most of our lives building walls and setting limits to feel safe and in control. But maybe, just maybe, the deepest human experiences, the ones that really tell us the truth about who we are, can only be found when we dare to step over those lines. What if the point isn't just to live safely within the boundaries, but to understand that deep, powerful need we have to test them?